Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, let me do these last ads here and we will get going. How's everyone doing this morning? I see we have a few new faces. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to today's $1 million coffee hour. Today we do have a wonderful guest, someone from my network that's coming in and sharing with us everything that he has been doing down in the great state of Texas. I know the last couple of weeks we've been having a lot of information coming out of Texas. And so extremely excited about having Bill Huff with us today and sharing what he has been going and down in the great state of Texas. But for those that are new, we love to kick off each session with wins. So we love for anybody to share any wins that they have had over the last week to recognize you, motivate you, and congratulate you on the success that you're building in your portfolio, but also to encourage those that are out here on the grind each and every day because sometimes the successes can kind of come far in between, but they are definitely worth the sacrifices that we make. So definitely want to open it up to anybody to share any wins that they have had in the last week or any wins period that they want to share that may have missed a couple sessions. No wins. All right, I'll share a win. I'm about 2 or 3 days open from one to one of the things that I really wanted to do was get a new HELOC in place. It had been some years. I built up some equity in my primary residence. So one of the goals that I had this year was to lock in a new HELOC with a longer term as I kind of move forward in my investing, just to leverage that now where I can continue to be my own lender on my smaller projects and also have just a pool of cash that I can tap into. So that's one of my goals that I'm a little bit closer to. So we should be further down the line. It's taken an extremely long process to close with Navy Fed. Since I think we started like June 9th, June 8th with approval, and we're still going through the closing process, but I think we're almost there. So extremely excited about that. I had the opportunity last week to go in person to my Montgomery portfolio that we recently refinanced a couple of weeks ago. So I was able to go there and then also to Panama City last week while I was in Alabama and check in on my properties there. So as an out-of-state investor, that's one of the great times to kind of see the team in person, work through challenges that they've been working through, and from a leader's perspective, reinforce the values, the mission, everything that we're doing, and reassure your confidence in them, and really thank them for being the boots on the ground because that's one of the things that I have learned that the team is critical to success. And a lot of times, those that do all the dirty work the day in and day out when you start looking at larger portfolios and multifamily complexes that it's a grind at days and they're the ones that are forward facing to the community, to the actual tenants, the residents at the complex that pay the income that comes in at the end of the day. So that was a big highlight for me in the win to get in front of everybody on the team and make sure that let them they know that I appreciate them and then let them know the areas that I think we need to continue to improve and work on as we continue to implement our 2025 business plan. So I saw one, Adam with a hand raised. Go for it.
Hey, sorry, I'm driving in here, so I was late on the uptake to mention wins over the last few weeks. Got two investors to commit to our next batch of tax credit purchases, and then also connected to a essentially an ecosystem of pilots that invest in real estate that are interested in finding ways to integrate our work with their work. They invest in a lot of self storage areas, which I think is pretty interesting given the maybe issues in or the cracks starting to show in the housing market. So finding new ways of investing in real estate, but also adding revenue streams to those as well. So those are my wins for the last 2 weeks.
Nice. That is awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that's so are they looking at excuse me, are they looking at are those military pilots or commercial airline pilots?
The people that lead it are commercial airline pilots, but there's commercial and military pilots in the ecosystem. Um,
Okay.
and like I said, they invest in a lot of like self storage type stuff.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Your networking is extremely cool. Oh, that brings up I actually had a sit down with the broker in Birmingham last week, which was a highlight. I've seen this guy on LinkedIn for over the last 10 years, even before LinkedIn, that I saw his name on multifamily apartments that I looked at, years before I pulled the trigger and bought my first apartment. But him and I sat down for coffee on last Friday, and he's already sent me off-market deals, in which he told me in person, like, I got a couple things that may be in the works. But we sat down and talked 45 minutes, and we talked about real estate probably 5 to 8 minutes of all that, but just talked about family, kids, where they're going to school, the market, people that we know together. And, and we ended talking about real estate, what I'm looking at, and some things that's going on in the market. And already paying dividends by building relationships to, seeing some of these off-market deals. And so that's one of the things that we're all about is positioning and doing the tasks that are going to lead to being able to see more deals and close more deals down the future, and just building connections with the people that actually are doing the thing each and every day, that are brokers that are out here cold calling. They're reaching out to owners. They already have relationships with owners. The same things that we're looking to do as well too. And so, Adam, thank you for that, because that really brought back to mind with that I kind of completely forgot about that. But the networking piece is critical. With you're one connection away from accelerating and taking your portfolio off one deal, one relationship that comes and brings the right person on your team that can take your business plan to the next level. So awesome,
Yeah,
awesome.
one thing
Anybody
they never.
else?
I was just gonna
Yeah,
say.
go
Well,
ahead.
I was gonna add. I was just gonna add on one thing they didn't. They never teach in the military the old adage of "it's not what you know, it's who you know," and that is
Yeah.
that's something I wish I would have. You know, built into my work foundationally much earlier in my career is the networking piece.
For sure, for sure. I support that comment 100%. That's something they tell us, and a lot of times you don't take it for granted. And there's a
Yeah,
great book, those that want to check out Who Not How.
if I can comment on that, I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. All the people that we come across throughout our journeys in the military, and especially now looking back on that, all those contacts, could have been valuable for now what I'm doing in this phase of my life. And it's like, wow, especially those of us who PCS from basis to basis and all the contacts. Yeah, that's a great statement. And yeah, uh, I agree with that.
For sure, for sure. Any other wins? If not, let me read through Mr. Huff's bio and share a little bit about him up front, and then we will get going and turn the floor over to him this morning. So, Mr. Bill Huff owns and operates Huff Real Estate Group, that is a full service digital real estate business that offers real estate agent sales services, training and coaching programs, portfolio asset management, and podcast studio rental services. He's been investing in real estate since '09 and has built a real estate portfolio that consists of residential multifamily, college housing, and international real estate. And so Bill has gone through and had the opportunity, and he does a lot of coaching, has an ebook out there uh, that where he helps individuals start their financial journey. And so the title of his ebook is, what's the title of the ebook, Bill? I'm
So I
sorry, I'm
have
reading
two.
here. I
Yeah,
went off script.
no problem, no problem. So I have two. The primary one is the five stages of financial mindset, which to me is probably the more important one. The other ebook I have is which is the same as my one of my catchphrases, just buy a duplex. So that walks you through the benefits of a duplex over a single family home, and then there's some bonus material at the end that goes into business structure around a portfolio.
Yep, and that's great. And that's how we connected last year. When I'm looking back on it, that on LinkedIn and was and seeing everything they was posted about duplex. I'm like, this guy gets it because we all know that affordability has taken a hit when it comes to buying residential real estate. And for me, I have the VA loan was instrumental in my ability to build my portfolio early on in my investing career with being able to buy a property 100%, you know, 100% LTV, no money down with the VA loan benefit. And so now I was able to find foreclosures routinely through the mid 2010s, through that time period. And a lot right now, they're not as prevalent. And so a lot of times when you look at the higher price of housing, one of the ways that you get there is one, house hack, and you rent out by the room versus, just rent as a standard 12-month lease for the entire house. And two is buy multifamily unit because the majority of my career, I had no clue I could use my VA loan to buy a duplex, to buy a triplex, or even buy a fourplex. And a lot of you guys have seen Jahil's story last year. He bought over $1 million 4 unit less than a year old in Chattanooga, Tennessee, using his VA loan with no money down. And the plot of land was actually big enough that he's looking now to develop 6 more townhouses on it. And all this with no money down. And so that's the power of this. And so we connected online and been following one another's journey over the last year and a half. And super excited to bring Bill in to one to kind of talk about what he's doing in the San Antonio market and the impact of looking at multi units and how individuals can build wealth sooner by leveraging that strategy, but then also diving into some of those financial mindset habits too that it takes to kind of set people apart and to set them up on that path for financial abundance. And that's one of the terms we'll talk a little bit about that
Yeah.
too, because I'm,
Yes.
I'm really big about financial freedom and going through that piece. And Bill's like, no, what you're really saying is you're trying to achieve financial abundance, and he's
Yes.
100% right. And so, with
Yes.
that, Bill, I turn it over to you. What do we need to know about you that's not on the bio? I know husband, father, active duty veteran, defense contractor, real estate, and what else isn't included in the bio?
Oh, wow, I can go on for days. But hey, first thing, yeah, we met last year via LinkedIn, and I've been following you as well. And we need to work together, and that's going to come here. And I think we complement each other well because I'm not really in the commercial apartment space. I'm in the residential multifamily space, and I think it's a nice fit. So, yeah, I hope there's more things to
Yes.
come there. Absolutely. So thank you for having me on. But one fun fact that you may not know is I used to own a laundromat,
Mm,
and the reason I went there, it was a real estate play primarily. So I owned the building as well as the real estate business that was leasing the real estate business that was leasing the building. So that was the my requirement at that time for buying the laundromat. I had to own the building because real estate is the focus. Uh, that was a phenomenal experience. I could go on for days about that. Another fun fact is when I was in the Air Force station on the East Coast, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Amway at the time. I was doing Amway out of my dorm room. So I guess what I'm trying to say is pretty much since the time I came into the military, while I was progressing in rank, and I knew that that was not the end all be all. There was a bigger picture that I had not really put my finger on yet, but I knew I had to do more than just go to, be in the military type thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't I hope that didn't come out the wrong way, but I knew that there was a little bit more that I had to do. So yeah, two fun facts about me.
no,
But
that is awesome.
yeah, yeah. If you mentioned that I started investing in 2009, and obviously that's a critical time because we were just coming out of 2008. Okay, and so for many of us, I'm probably a little bit older than some of the people here. Uh, at that point, I had transitioned out of the military and was, defense contractor doing my software engineer thing. investing in my 401k, going that route. And at the time, I was coming up to speed on real estate, learning. My mentor, I had a phenomenal mentor at the time who was just beating it into my head. And the catalyst was 2008. That pushed me over the edge. So here I was investing in my 401k, going the traditional route, which is nothing wrong with that. But, I lost, like a lot of people, 45 to 50% of the value.
Mm,
And for some, you say, well, it'll recover because it's a long-term investment, right? But for me, it was a control issue. I had no control. And so that was the catalyst that ignited me to go and buy our first investment property in 2009.
interesting, interesting. So how was that dynamic? So you had your mentor, which was the mentor on the kind of the 401k financial Wall Street investment type, or was the mentor on the real estate side?
So ironically, he was a retired military guy, lieutenant colonel, and he was a paper assets investor himself.
Okay.
But he was a real estate agent and he knew it. He was too far along in his journey to switch once he learned the value and the benefits of real estate. But he beat that into me because I was young enough to, to make to do it. So he was a phenomenal mentor, in more ways than one. Obviously the military connection and somewhat of a father figure to some degree. Uh, but yeah, he actually helped me buy. It was our a condo in San Antonio was our first investment in 2009. And I finally got into duplexes in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, we ended up buying two duplexes side by side. And so that's when the light bulb for me went off in that this is the niche I need to play in. So that was pretty much the that was it right there. I was hooked.
So how was that transformation for you? Because I know it's always different for each and every one of us. I remember where I was at in '08 and how not having a background in equities and bonds and really focusing in, it scared the heck out of me when I saw everything that was happening. Then I had found real estate in '06 when I bought my first property. And so I was like, I'm going all in on real estate. And I didn't do anything, in regards to buying another property until 2011 after our PCS, which was a great time. I was able to buy a HUD foreclosure and start that journey of buying foreclosures the rest of my career. But how's that transformation for you to go from sitting in the dorm room, learning, understanding, knowing you were investing to actually pulling the trigger and buying that first condo property?
Yeah, so behind the scenes, as I mentioned, I was doing Amway and all these other business related activities to try to grow something from scratch. What was going on really was, kind of what I capture in my ebook, mindset shift. And that journey in itself was probably a lot harder. But because what I describe in the ebook, I come from what I call a financial mindset. And growing up, it was, we were living on the edge. And so you take that into adulthood and then you have to invest, right? For your retirement and things like that, but you're still somewhat damaged by this mindset. And so it became a battle to do that. I, I would say that with the 401k approach, I was doing it primarily because everyone else was doing it. And that was the accepted standard, right? But in the back of my mind, I'm like, this can't be it. There's and don't take this the wrong way. Saving for retirement is part of the journey, but if our financial purpose on this earth is to save for retirement, there has to be a bigger picture at play. And typically it's going to involve helping people beyond our personal finances. And so that journey is what was going on behind the scenes as I was, starting to get into real estate. And I'm probably more thankful for that mindset journey than actually the buying of the real estate. The real estate, in the grand scheme of things, that's easy, right? You know,
Mhm.
uh, acquiring, I became good at on the acquisition side, and then I became good on the this what I call the kind of the sustainment, day-to-day operations. Uh, yeah, so I would say that the mindset shift was the hardest battle.
And how's that kind of progressed over time with you? Because I think you called out it was five financial mindset shifts. What's those five? You don't mind sharing with us this morning?
Sure, sure. So it's they're five, and I display them visually as a stack because they are cumulative. The mindsets build on each other. At the bottom is financial poverty. That that is that is hard to overcome. Uh, let me just kind of go up the stack here. The second one is the financial survival. The next one is financial security, and that is where majority of the employee base of this country lives, in that mindset. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's the dominant one. And that's where you have uh, some of the top financial influencers such as Dave Ramsey, Sue Zorman. They target that mindset right there. Above that is financial freedom, and then above that is financial abundance. And there's a big gap between the financial security and financial freedom and the difference is primarily on the financial statement. Uh, which I could walk you through that as well. But along with those mindsets, there are personality characteristics that have to change in order to really advance and level up. I call level up your mindset. It's not just a fancy definition. These are personality traits that have to evolve. And that's why, as I mentioned to you yesterday, I see these words used, financial freedom and security. It actually drives me crazy because in a lot of cases they're used interchangeably, they're used randomly, and there's no definition. So if you don't define something, how can you work towards a target if you don't define it? And if there's not a standard definition, it's like the goalposts are moving. So what I did is I defined them, not just in definition, but in terms of if the flow of money on your financial statements, as well as I mentioned, the personality traits that you'll typically find from, example would be fixed mindset to growth mindset. Those all matter, and those play into the picture.
Thank you for breaking that down. And I got a copy of the ebook, so I'm gonna share that with everybody as well too, and connection. So make sure you guys get connected with Bill. So what have you have seen in regards to like making that transition from financial freedom to financial abundance? I'm curious about that. I want to because I personally I want to know kind of see where I stand in that. But for you, what do you think is that one attribute that takes you from financial freedom to financial abundance?
Yeah, that's a great question. And just observing you, like I said, the last year, you've transcended financial freedom to financial abundance for one fact, and that is the primary difference between freedom and abundance is you went from s- being selfish to selfless. So, so it becomes at some point we have to transcend our finances from personal finances, which is it's a selfish approach. I mean, just stay with me here. So it's a selfish approach. We have to go beyond our personal finances to then help others. And the mere fact that you're out here looking to help other people and doing it, that tells me that's my read of you saying he's transcended financial freedom. He's because it's about um Okay, the definition of financial freedom is control of your time, money, and energy. The definition for financial abundance is control of your time, money, and energy, and being able to devote those resources towards causes greater than you. You exhibit
Mm,
that just we haven't met personally, but having been following you for the last year, you exhibit uh, that trait. And so that is the primary difference. Many of us, we never make it to the point where we can transition from selfish finances to selfless finances because we're always grinding. And many of us, we spend our whole lives grinding, so we never are able to make that transition. But to me, that is part, that is not just an extra, that is part of the journey uh, for me. So that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm not there yet to where I need to be, but that is the goal. So for me, these, the mindset concepts are more like part of your vision. And your vision is always leading your reality, right? And so your vision is way out here, and you have to get your reality to get up there. That's your reality is having to do all the hurdles and all the setbacks, and where your vision doesn't have to, it's just a vision. He's just out there. So uh yeah, I would say you are well in the financial abundance mindset because you're looking beyond your personal self. And that is how I define it. That's a huge difference.
yeah, no, thanks for that. Thanks for that. That makes total sense. And I would tell you that it's hard to quantify the feeling that you achieve by helping someone else. For somebody to say, "Hey, I wouldn't be in this position for my family. I wouldn't make these decisions, or I wouldn't have this asset if it wasn't for you, or the information or the conversation that we had, the inspiration that you gave me." So that abundance is uh is definitely the pinnacle because you can't put a dollar figure on somebody telling you, "Hey, my life wouldn't be where it is today without you." And you get a lot of that from just mentors that we have in the military and things like that over my career. I can think back to that have had that impact on me, and that's what it's all about: paying it forward. Taking all the benefits that we've had from the mentors, the connections that you have, and bring it your resources to other people to help them achieve their greatness, whatever it may be, whether it's real estate or not. But to become the best CEO of their last name or whatever their dealings are. So that's phenomenal. So kind of looking at like how do we achieve financial freedom? We talked about, the top of the mountain, if you will, with abundance and freedom. But for those that are in the day-to-day grind and the struggle, still working the W-2 and looking to make that position or pivot to get to the next level, what do you or what have you seen as a path or the transformation mentally from the financial mindset to kind of get there from that survival, that security standpoint, where we said most of the people operating that financial security to get to that financial freedom? What have you seen as kind of the traits or that process to get there?
Yeah, the transition from security to freedom is between the five is the hardest mindset transition. And it's associated with traits, but the key one is financial security is focused on comfort. And you're balanced, right? You're living a balanced life. Well, and you obviously know where I'm heading. Freedom
Yeah.
is about control and having seasons of unbalance or even seasons of chaos. So that is, and that's a huge gap because we're all brought up in this world of, okay, balance, financial balance. You need to do this. You need budget. You need save for
Right.
retirement. But you want to be balanced because you're trying to achieve comfort. You know, and not re my not realizing that comfort may be restricting your growth. On the other side of that is, as I mentioned, is freedom, which is you're trying to control things and that. that going down that path can be chaotic. And so say you're if you know a husband or wife, the husband sees the vision of financial freedom, but the wife has a financial security mindset. That's a challenge in itself because they have to come together to, and both make that mindset shift journey. But that's the biggest one, and that's the hardest one to to get to transition. As I mentioned before, the financial security is about balance. And so say a lot of that group is focused on, these packaged investments such as a 401k. That, that is, and that is, and this may not come across right, but that's more of you're looking internally, and it becomes more of like, as I mentioned, a selfish approach. Yes, we have to get our own finances right in order to help others. Yet I agree 100% with that. But it doesn't stop there, is what I'm saying. I think many of us,
Right.
we take our foot off the gas. Well, I've got, I got a $2 million for 401k. I'm 55. I've achieved all I need to achieve, and then it's time to coast. If you're in a financial freedom and financial abundance mindset, that you don't think like that. And, I recently put a post out like financial security, they're trying to control and they're seeking retirement. Financial abundance for a person like you're not seeking retirement. You're seeking to oversee operations probably for the rest of your life. It sounds cheesy, but it is a huge difference. You can teach like you're doing and educate people forever, right? You have a business in place. You have all the people to operate the portfolios and all these people, but your voice, your experience can go on forever, you know. And so I would imagine, we haven't had this conversation before, but I would imagine that I don't see you doing the traditional retirement. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Okay, yeah. This is just me reading you, and I have the same for myself. I don't, there's a retirement is not a concept for me, because then I'm falling short. If I follow that, for me, I'm falling short of reaching the person that I need to be and to help. Uh, and so I'm not trying to, I hope this doesn't come across as I'm putting people down. It's just there are different mindsets. There's not just one mindset that uh, you may hear, in the social media ecosystem by, a lot of these financial influencers. There's multiple mindsets. I think that's the message that I want to people to, take away from this.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And because I see it, one of the things that, with retirement from the Air Force now, that looking like, okay, what does this mean for me? And for me, it was how do I impact people and serve people? Been serving in the military or cause bigger than yourself, but how do I transition into serve in a larger capacity now? And for me, it was going into the financial services piece. And one of the things I found a local firm, Right Time Financial, that I've been working with, and it's amazing, like the conversations that I have with some of the advisors that's on the staff now. They with the founder, we had a conversation. We met at Howard University for a career day, pouring into new graduates and just sharing what we're doing, building with REI Genius. And we had dinner, and it's like, hey, man, I would love to have you come on and lead up my alternative investments side for my firm to help my advisors because we need to get more into the alternative space. And which is like that's been the one thing because I pulled back on TSP. I'm like, I'm investing in real estate. I can control it. I can get 5, 6, 7x returns that the market can give me in just one fix and flip property that I control in less than 6 months. And so for me, that was my journey, how it started. But what you talk about with the security, I see it every day. And, I'm going to the meetings, they're talking about the portfolio allocation and and just the right mix for clients and where they are in their path to get retirement and the time frame they're looking to retire and just all the considerations they have to juggle in regards to like disability, long-term care, and some of those things. And I'm just looking at, the broader long term right now. They're telling individuals, everyone's living longer, like you have to stay in the market, you have to be exposed uh, to Wall Street for a longer amount of time. And I look at the different annuity products and everything. And there's a place I'm in the process of rebalancing into the market because I've been completely out and building, in the multifamily space. But there's a place to understand for you because so many people they let society dictate how they approach or what they view as retirement, what they view as enough in the 401k. And it may be enough, it may not be enough. And a lot of times, a lot of people, see the stress level, from the conversations and what they're dealing with. It's like there's a better way. But you're gonna have to, it's not gonna be easy, it's not gonna be comfortable. You're gonna have to roll your sleeves up and you're gonna have to grind it out for maybe 3 to 5 years and rebalance and transition. But on the other side is that it's more passive income. It's more time freedom. It's less, you're paying less in taxes and you have long-term appreciation. And that's one of the things that I share in the community about, just comparing a $200,000 investment buying $1 million multifamily property and just showing that compared to a $1 million portfolio. And we're looking at both over the next 20 years and just where they are at the end of that 20-year period. And when you look at the tax depreciation, the $6,000 a month passive income for 20 years, each and every month coming from the property, and then the long-term appreciation of that property going from, from $1 million to over $2 million in 20 years in value. And just where from $1 million portfolio and it dwindling down, to less than 200K and just the power of that. And just from a $200,000 investment, just looking compared to $1 million portfolio. And when you look at the power of leverage, and it's all leverage, when you're looking at the end of the day and the
Right.
hedge against inflation, that it's a no-brainer that, hey, you need to allocate a portion, 20, 30% of your portfolio needs to be in real estate and preferably real estate that you control versus, putting it all in maybe one syndication. And so the thing that's my thesis and that's the gospel that I'm pushing out to others because you're right, because that security is elusive and then you're secure until you wake up one day and you're not secure. And a lot of times it's too late then.
I agree 100%. And you're, you know, people are trying to position themselves based on the current model of retirement onto a fixed income, but with rising costs. And that's a recipe for disaster. And so, I challenge a lot, and I'm not here to say one way is right or, one way, but, and I look at things on a larger, time scale. And one thing I'm looking at, we don't have to get into this now, but could it be that, could it be that based on this current model of retirement and the transition from pensions to, self-directed, the onus was transitioned from the company to the individual, and the focus now on the financial industry, focus on these packaged retirements, and people put, getting people to think financial security was the path. Could it be that we've put people, millions of people, into a position where they're trapped based on following this model? And that those are the types, I'm not looking to, I'm not trying to turn this into a debate, but that is what I look at. Because the economy is changing, it's transforming. And so now that model is going to have to evolve. And so I'm, I watched I'm trying to read all of the pieces of, transition to how crypto plays into this and where that's going, uh, you know, uh, taxes and those types of things aren't decreasing, they're increasing. We're continuing to, print more money, so that inflates, asset value. So that's what I look at. And so I agree 100% that, getting people to work, maybe, consider working hard to adjust their portfolios. That is a huge shift for them because they grew up for decades thinking all they had to do was contribute, this a little bit each check. But I appreciate what you're doing because that's, like I said, that's serving. That really is serving beyond. You see it yourself. So you're trying to alert people to the to the potential train that's coming towards them. Uh, so yeah, it's that's a whole conversation itself. But yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, no, I think that's the big thing that you're spot on. And the thing is like to get challenged on how we view the world and think is critical. And I think this has been a great session just where I think it's going to give all of us some things to kind of think about personally, and kind of assess where we are and where we want to be. Because you look at the landscape and you called out, a couple of things, the taxes. We just saw the big beautiful bill. It's for built for business owners and investors, accredited investors that are going to win from the changes to the 100% bonus depreciation, the
Yep.
Rule 179, those allotments, as well as you're looking at the QBI with the first 20% exclusion for your business income on your taxes. And the thing is, you have to realize in this capitalistic society, like you got to be an investor or you got to be a business owner. And, we look at artificial intelligence, just everything that's happening there, the changes to what we look at when we talk about society. Like there's layoffs. You're seeing AI is going to impact. I don't think people really understand the next 5 years, the impacts that we're going to have. The federal government's laying off hundreds of thousands of people and changing how they do business, as well as we look at the society in general with technology. We're changing, going back to pre-World War II. Um, Policies in regards to how we show up in the world economy, and all of that is shifting, and we're shifting away from a permission based economy. If you look at everything the last 20, 30, 40 decade, 40 years ago, that you look at everything was permission based. You have to get permission from, whether you have to get a 4 year degree in order to get permission to get a certain type of job, or you have to go in order to there was gatekeeping, and you had to get information was held back. Now that whole society has changed in regards to how we show up. Like you don't have to ask for permission or anything. You can go to China or Thailand right now and get a product and get distribution. You don't have to go to a wholesaler in the United States to get that product, that they're going to get it shipped over here to you. That you have companies, that's on TikTok or other platforms that can drop ship products from China directly to your doorstep in the matter of a couple of days, and you don't have to have anybody in between. All they need is their cell phone to make it happen and the connections. And so now, but our institutions aren't set up. They're not teaching this. They're not teaching how you can leverage. I've seen multiple owners that own multiple food trucks that 10x their business in 6 months just from TikTok with food trucks and just being able to be mobile and not have a retail brick and mortar location. And so the thing is, like the society and everything that we're pushing, where go to college, they're giving you skills, but the skills, the everything in the economy has outgrown the skill set that's being advertised, for the multiple $100,000 of student loan to get you there. Everything has repositioned and shifted. And so I think that's the thing that we have to look at is how do we reinvent ourselves and how do we normalize what we're doing personally and our businesses to what's happening in society, because society is evolving and recreating itself at a pace that traditional university institutions can't keep up with. And most businesses are struggling to keep up with as well because everything's becoming more uh, international at the same time as being more virtual, where we don't necessarily need retail space. And we're seeing a lot of brick and mortar businesses that are going to bankruptcy, restaurants that are going to bankruptcy, because we as consumers with COVID changed our society. And now a lot of people are reacting, they're building their businesses in a way to react to what has become the new norm in certain situations. And so the same things, like if you were investing as real estate investors, the same approach as 2010 or even 2020, that we're going to be left behind and we're going to make some mistakes if we're still showing up in the same way if we're not involved in our strategies. And so I think that's all of this is kind of leading to that. I'll let you get the last word, and then we'll open up for Q&A because I know some people have some questions with everything that we've talked about this morning.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the way you phrased it, permission based. I love that because I phrase it, we're we're operating still off the World War II economy that was set up. That's dying, and it's evolving into it's going from a centralized economy to a decentralized economy. That is to our benefit, actually. It's scary. It's scary, very scary, but that's to our benefit. And you brought up, artificial intelligence. That is that is not just attacking blue collar jobs. That is a white collar job machine. And we're starting to see companies, uh, all in the name of, well, the tariffs are doing this, but their goal is to, get rid of employees and replace them with, AI agents essentially. So you're seeing companies basically go that route to, boost income. So that, but all this can be used to our benefit. You brought this tax bill, or right or wrong, that's favors, as you said, businesses. That's to our benefit. Uh, w- you know, Let me just end with this. I respect Dave Ramsey and Suze Orman because I've learned a lot from them. But I just want to leave with this, and it's not a challenge, it's just something to think about. So recently, Dave Ramsey had made a comment about rental properties, and he said it was, stupid for a uh, person that owns a rental property to count on rent from a tenant. So this was last year, so I've been reflecting on this. But I would say he's right. But the conversation doesn't end there. What should have continued after that, because I agree with him. But hold on, I agree with him. But the same thing exists for his community. He's trying to get to buy single family homes. If you're promoting people buying single family homes based on a W-2 in an economy that is transitioning and losing jobs due to AI, that is a recipe for disaster. So we all I'm saying is that we have to be prepared. This is as you brought up, this is a phenomenal opportunity for everyone at every economic level due to the decentralization to use their cell phone, their tools, TikTok, and all these tools that we have access to promote their business or their product or service. This is this is a this is a pivotal time to where it's the barrier to entry is as low and as it is. Like we don't need brick and mortar. We can start today. Start a YouTube channel. Start talking. You know, so that is the way to combat this transforming economy, in my opinion.
I agree 100%. We definitely have to change how we show up. No, awesome discussion. I'll open it up. And for what questions you guys have for Bill this morning, you can raise your hand or just come off mute.
I have so many questions that I don't know where to start. I guess Bill, what was it like the hardest transition from, well, you make a decision that you be a finding out the character with the mindset shift, right? And then the process is the becoming. Like, what would be your tip in terms of like make it easier to transition from this kind of mindset from the security to the freedom or the abundance? Because
Uh,
you mentioned there's a huge gap.
yes. Yeah,
You
so
think
in the ebook, I have there's a chart that kind of lays out where I get into personality traits. Um, I think at the core of it, we're gonna have to, in order to transform, you have to give up something. You have to be willing to give up whatever it is in order to step into, like for example, going from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. That is I, a lot of some of that is tied to aging, right? As we age, we get more into the fixed mindset where we become more fearful of uh of we back off the need to learn. So whereas people that are, seeking or growing into a financial freedom mindset, they're always learning. Learning never stops. Learning goes until the day we're gone from the earth. It never stops. We're always trying to get more information. So yeah, in order to transform, and it really is a transformation, I would say, the thing behind it is we have to be willing to sacrifice, and we have to be willing to give up something to get to the next thing. And it's as trivial as that may sound, that is probably what a lot of people struggle with because they don't want to give up what they have because they work so hard for it. And so this is all mindset, we're all struggling up here trying to figure this stuff out, but you have to give up something in order to get ahead in life. That is at the core of everything. You have to give up something that you've worked hard for in order to get to the next level, whatever you're trying to get to. But my recommendation is look at the chart in the ebook and kind of walk through that and then determine which of those traits apply to you. Just to kind of do an initial assessment. I am not a psychologist or I'm not certified. This is just me putting my thoughts into this ebook that I've built up over a lifetime. So I just want to add that disclaimer here. You're welcome.
Okay.
Hi, Bill.
Hi.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Bill. I
More.
just wanted to, I just wanted to comment um, that keeping and holding on mindset that we have, not only do we have it, but it's actually taught and advised. Keep that job, keep your 401k, your savings, save it, keep that money in your pocket. And we're not taught to take it and exchange it for assets or exchange it for something that will grow in the future. We're taught to just um, keep it. So this changing your mindset, that this is so important how you think and the way that we go about doing things can it's really important to change that mindset towards investment and towards growth, as you say. So I thank you for this topic, and this has been awesome.
Oh, great, great. No, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, the reality is most of us don't have time to think because we're too busy grinding. And and so we're not able to. And so I think COVID was the first time in a long time people actually had the time to take a step back and think. And I think, that may have changed the the mindset of people. But beyond that, we're too busy grinding to take a step back. I come from a single family household. My mother, there was no time to think. You had to grind. grind 2 shifts to take care of 2 boys. That is mass America right there. And so, yeah, it wasn't until, I started investing in residential multifamily, and then I started to take a step back to look at the big picture. And, okay, where am I going with this? What am I trying to do? And that was the kind of the moment where I start to put this mindset, kind of document things. But yeah, no, I agree with you. That's as trivial as it may sound. That is where finances start, not with a budget. It starts with a mindset.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Anything for Bill? This has been great. I've gotten so much for this, and definitely, I'm gonna look dig into the ebook and because I love the framework. I love the framework, and it visualizes, it quantifies where a lot of people are at and kind of where they should be aspiring to go. So I love that framework.
If I could, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, God, I think Adam has a question.
Hey, all I was going to say is I live in San Antonio. I live in San Antonio as well, and I'd love to meet up with Bill at some point in time in person.
Great. Yeah. Hey, nice to meet you, Adam. Yeah, we definitely can meet up.
All right.
That'd be great.
One more question. How can we get your book? Where do we go?
Yeah, we'll email it. I just actually uploaded a copy in
okay.
the chat, and then but we'll email it and upload it in the community as well too, so you guys can download it and connect. And it has your contact information inside.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everything's in there.
Yeah.
We just to So we do have a coaching program that kind of is an extension of the ebook, and you'll see it on our website. It's called the Level Up. So it's leveling up those 5 stages, and that's kind of where we help people kind of walk through that process. Um, but yeah, I hope this was informative, and I know we didn't get into the nuts and bolts of real estate, but we definitely could do another session where we kind of dig down on that, and we could talk about, I love to talk about residential multifamily here in Texas and all that. But I think this is important because to me, this sets the stage to be able to have those discussions. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. It does. It definitely does. And yeah, we'll set something up in a few weeks to bring you back to kind of talk about real estate a little bit too now. But no, I kind of geeked out, and once you dived into the 5 stages, my mind got to going and going, because I think that it all starts with the mindset. I wish I could say that it was being out here and actually going and walking properties and getting that skill set, but it's not. And Tony Robbins always says that it's 80% psychological and 20% skill,
Yeah.
and the skill can be taught at
Yeah.
the end of the day. And so this has been definitely helpful, and I pray everyone else has thought this has been beneficial. And yeah, let's go. I'm excited and motivated. And Faith, anything kind of the
I mean, I just have last
announcements and notes?
Yeah, because you guys have talked about, the transition of the business, and one thing that really caught me is the decentralization. It has been going on since 2020, and now we're starting to feel it. And you kind of touched on about getting yourself out there, building your brand, things like that. But let's admit it, not all of us are actually comfortable showing ourselves in front of the public. And that's actually the number one fear versus death, and every other fears that are out there. So, can you touch on a little bit about how did you overcome, especially for those that are like me, that's also, not really comfortable with public speaking, or like not an extrovert, more of like an introvert, person.
So I would say A couple things. Okay, so I'm a software engineer, and so by design, a lot of us were introverted, right? All we got to do is sit there and pound away, right? So I'm more of an introverted person, but the reality is I'm 54 years old. Today is my birthday. If
Oh my God,
you look at it
good.
like this, yeah, look at it like this. If what's holding me back from helping people and growing my business is being fearful of putting myself on a screen, then shame on me, right? That's really what it comes down to. I'm in the group that's supposed to be scared of, putting ourselves on camera and all that, right? But that's the attitude that I have. I had to overcome it. This was a process, you know. And so, but that's really what it comes down to. If the thing that's gonna hold me back from helping people to get to financial abundance, where Johnny's at, is, oh, I don't want to put myself on, out there, then that's I'm not going to achieve what I need to achieve in this world. So at some point, you have to make an ultimatum. You know, what's more important, your ability, your personal opinion about how you may look on camera, or your ability to help people. You know, that's really what it's got. And I'm not the expert to train people, but that's probably the the best way I could say it.
Same. Yeah,
You're welcome.
yeah, it's a fun thing.
Well, awesome. This has been great. For everyone, we're a little bit over. Definitely connect with Bill. We're gonna get his ebook out there. We're gonna bring him back in a few weeks. Talking about a little bit more about residential multifamily. Also, next Wednesday we're gonna have Hannah. That's gonna be coming back. She's gonna be talking about her hybrid midterm rental strategy next Wednesday. I know we have some stock and option training coming up here in the next few weeks as well too. So be on the lookout for that inside the community, and just continuing to level up and continue to grow. I know a few of us are going down to Invest Fest. That conference will be in Atlanta next month. I think it's the 21st through the 23rd of August. And yeah, we'll connect there in person, and as we wrap up this summer and continue to move forward. So with that, if any no last announcements, definitely reach out, jump on an alignment call. I'm gonna be back in pocket here the next couple of days. Would love to have some conversations. See what you guys are doing, help weigh in on the strategies you guys are implementing to see how we can better serve you, as well as continue to, for those that don't have an estate plan, don't have your trust set up, let's definitely get on my calendar. Let's have some discussions around that, as well as, and that's one of the things I'm going to actually bring in. I don't know if I'm going to do the presentation or bring one of my peers in with right time to come talk about some of the insurance needs, just to make sure I want everybody kind of do a holistic look at things and just make sure that they're properly insured, whether they're looking to use a whole life cash value policy type of strategy for what they're doing. I personally don't. But I'm a term and invest the rest type of person that invest in term insurance to cover everything we need, and then invest the rest personally. So I think there's pros and cons for whatever, but it depends on your strategy. So we're gonna be seeing a lot more of those areas to want to share, because I'm a true believer in a holistic financial approach and building wealth, and real estate is one portion of that, one strong pillar that supports it. But want to make sure that we have a holistic approach to everything that we're doing. So with that, you guys be blessed. Let's go. Faye, anything else?
Yep. So for those that haven't, joined REI Genius or the Financial Freedom Network in yet, I'll be dropping the link right there on the chat. And if you need help, like one-on-one strategy alignment call session, we have a few more spots this week for you. The link is right there on the chat. And tomorrow we'll be having market update tomorrow night. So hope that is cool.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, definitely share that. Yeah, Ethan. Yep, Ethan's gonna be talking about the Mobile, Alabama market, and just what he's a flipper there as well as agent, and he's gonna be sharing just some metrics. We're gonna be really just going through and talking about the Mobile, Alabama market for those. And I'll upload the video in school too. There was, I think it was Bigger Pockets, but they were talking about top 10 areas to invest in the United States, and Birmingham and Mobile were in the top, both were in the top 10. I think were they top two, one and two? Mobile, Alabama, Birmingham, which I've been saying forever that Alabama's super affordable. And that's why I love investing there. But I'll share that in the group as well, too.
Yeah, great session, Bill. Guys in the Financial Freedom Network, I'll be sharing with you Bill's book and his contact information so you guys can want to connect with him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again. Happy birthday, Bill. Didn't want to let you slide off without wishing you happy birthday. We appreciate you spending your early morning, having a cup of coffee with us and blessing us this morning. So enjoy the rest of your day, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a blessing, and definitely look forward to when you come down, returning the favor. Absolutely.
For sure. All right, everybody.
Thanks.
Mike, Christine, Jay, Sheila, Hannah, Chris. Thanks, everyone. See you next
Have a
week.
good one.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.